Hello friends, welcome back to Value Vintage Cards. This is going to be, golly, I guess it's video 5, and I'm already to box 3. So I'm going through my boxes, just kind of showing you guys what kind of, just items are in each one, a little bit of sampling. So every box, again, looks about the same. That's what the box looks like today. I have made a little bit of a revision just going through this process and realizing keeping my, the ungradeds into a separate category probably isn't really helping me mentally to know what's really falling into these kind of boxes and categories. So I have changed it, and I've got probably a half dozen ungradeds in every box now. So it's kind of helped me to filter. And again, it's a weird system, but it's super fun. So box, 1, I did, then 7, then 2, then 6, so I'm up to 3. So this is video 5. I'll do 3, then I'll do 5 and end in 4, and then I'll go back to, I've actually created a box 8, and I've changed up my system a little bit. So at some point I'll recap that and make some, some revision summaries of that. But for right now, box 3 is a really fun one. It gets into some classics, still some rare stuff. As you saw, a little bit of, the quote-unquote oversized items. So I'll do some sharing and we'll have some fun. So let me turn it around and we'll check things out. All right, friends, let's dive into our 20 cards from box 3. Kicking it off is a 1959 Bazooka. So actually, the reality of it is Nellie Fox is a really tough one in that set. So getting one that is fairly well trimmed. I mean, the numeric grade is a little arbitrary because they're all hand cut, so I don't really love grades on them like that. But to get one that has enough borders to qualify to have a 2 slapped on, it's pretty cool. And they're just tough to find in general, playing back, but really tough one to find at all. So thrilled to have that. Next one is a budget Babe Ruth option, which is not a sentence that's easy to say. But 1932 Sanella Margarine, so the Babe Ruth Type 2. I haven't gotten deep enough into these to really grasp all the different types, but they are neat. You do get the writing on the back, so it's a little more of like a real card feel. Image is insanely phenomenal. But if you're looking for a Ruth and playing days, which is a really tough formula, there's a few out there that you can get for, what we'll call reasonable, which is, again, kind of subjective to who you are and how you collect. Next one I'm going to go with is a 1962 Pittsburgh Exhibits. So I feel like these really are maybe the third set of the Bazooka, Home Run Derby, and then these, as far as really scarce, similar size. This may be the least recognized of the 3 sets, though, and I think it's my only example from the set. So with a lot of these, same with Home Run Derby, if I'm going to get one, I'm going to go ahead and grab Ernie. So it's a really neat one. Cool image, something a little bit different. It looks like a big playing card. On the back is blank, so it's a little bit different for a playing card style. But clear those out of the way so nothing falls or gets bumped. I'm going to go to my 3 ungradeds. So we got 3 in this box. I'm going to actually hold this one closer. So it's a 1962 Topps. To me, that is about as good as it gets, especially for a combo card, but really just a card in general. So absolutely awesome, awesome item. What makes it even better is on the back, when you flip it over, it's in Spanish, which means it's a Venezuelan issue. So typical Venezuelan damage, that's okay. Absolutely love that card. Next up, that was a 62 Topps-ish. We'll go 1959. And we're going to go with the Yogi Yoo-Hoo. auction house find. I have the entire set, which is awesome. They are blank backs, but that image, just ridiculously cool. So thrilled to have that one. And the last one, I'm going to set that one down for a quick second. That's a Walter Johnson. I want to say it's around a 1011. That's one of the unique little uncatalogued, I guess they just don't really know how to quite classify it as to origins and what set it would be considered. So, very reputable seller. Full disclosures on everything. He's called Walter Johnston, which happened a lot, mostly in the early prints, but there's even like the, whatever it is, Big Head, it's like 16 to 20 issue kind of range. That has the same issue, where they call him Johnston. But this one must have been glued into something. There was no way of really saving it. So that's kind of fun. You get to see like the newspaper. So whenever they glued it in, must have been maybe really when they got it. So definitely some damage and things, but it's one that's just impossible to find. So I am happy just to have an example. All right, let's get jumping into our more standard size items. So this is an E90-1 Nap Lajoie. Really cool set. Absolutely love the set. The colors, the collar, Cleveland, even his face, like it's just great detail. Some of these are cartoony and some of them are just amazing. Back is decently clean, so that's a great one. Nap Lajoie is absolutely a great one to collect and fun to collect. Next pair I actually picked up, got these a little bit on the bargain. E121 typically has a border around it. So both of the two I'm going to show, that one and the next one, are trimmed pretty cleanly, honestly. These were had for probably half the price of a 1. E121 is a pretty tough set. I love this because it's Rogers Hornsby. That pose is not scarce, but him listed as an outfielder is. And actually these, let me flip it around, the back is really clean for being trimmed. So the border you lose doesn't affect any of the writing, any of the key components of the card. Just saves you some dollars and makes it accessible maybe. So again, I got both of these for less than any one of them would have been in a even slightly tolerable 1 grade probably. So another authentic. This is an E220 Walter Johnson, another cool pose. I like the E220s. The writing on it just seems, I don't know, just extra cool, a little extra flair to it. Back of this, let me turn it around the right way. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. But yeah, I think the imaging on that is phenomenal. Moving on, another traditional one maybe. T205, awesome set. This one is authentic. I'm going to say it's trimmed. It looks a little short, a little extra clean. That border looks like it's been maybe maneuvered around a little bit, but it's a Cy Young. It presents really well. It's not creased up and destroyed and damaged, so maybe they tried to get one over on somebody and it came back authentic. T205s I like too, because the backs, Eddie Joss talks about in passing. A lot of them, if you get a Matthew Center speaker, it's going to show their stats. So the Cy Young has a little bit of a write-up and cool information. So Cy Young T205. Next up, 1937 O-Pee-Chee. Really tough set. And these you can find anywhere from, popped out and crushed and really rough shape up to really high grades. There's, 7s and 8s and 9s that are floating around, and those go for extreme premiums. But something in a nice mid-grade like this, mid-condition, corners are pretty clean, it's not popped out, everything about it's good. What's neat on these is the back is way more legit. You get the 2 languages. It's a Canadian issue, so you get English and French. And it's a legit card, and it's a cool image. So the image of him hitting, and then you get all the little players running around the field. So it really is it's a neat take on the set. 1966 Topps. I wish they would have called him Roberto on this, but it's Bob. This one is a Venezuelan issue. So I went for this copy because the front was pretty darn clean. It's dirty. It's probably stored under someone's porch for some years. The back has maybe a little bit of damage. There's like added paper and paper removed. So authentic is extremely fair, but for me the front presents really nicely, and anything Venezuelan Clemente is going to be very tough. All right, last SGC. Doesn't get much more classic. 1954 Red Heart. You get your Stan Musial. I think, for different examples, you just want a little bit cleaner copy. The corners are good. I almost wish there was a pinhole to make this like a 1 and make it really affordable, but there's not. The colors are crazy vibrant on these when you get them a little bit nicer, and for me 3 is definitely a little bit nicer. I'll take it. Stanley Frank Musial, completely legit card, which is what I love about these Red Hearts. So, batting, fielding stats. I guess centering maybe is what dings it down. Corners are good, no creasing. Like that's a great example. So thrilled to have that in the collection. All right, let's jump over to our final 7. PSA getting represented here. This one is anything 67 Venezuelan, anything Venezuelan for that matter, when you get into a little bit higher grade. So these sometimes you don't see any border on the different sides. Maybe you see it on 1 or 2. This one's a little biased towards the 2. The side by my thumb and the bottom are more bordered, but the other ones you can still see border. Feller, they just did dirty. They put Bob Feller right over his face. F is right in his hair. Can't even see it. But to get one of these that's not creased up, and obviously when you get into that kind of grade, the back is going to be really clean, which is the really, really challenging part, because a lot of these are pasted into albums. So I will take a nice clean Feller. I think that was a lucky find when I found it. There's classic. So that's what's fun about some of these boxes. Box 3 is pretty diverse with some stuff you just don't get to come across, and that's why I picked it up. And then you get some of the just perfect classic. I'll take Tip Top as his rookie maybe, but 48 Bowman is what a lot of folks will consider to be his rookie card. So 48 Bowman Yogi. Perfect Aaron grade. It's a 2. Important to me is the back. I can read all the back. No crazy damage. I can even deal with damage as long as I can still read it. I'm happy. So, cool image. We'll go way opposite extreme. So, John Mangini and I were having a little discussion, debate, messaging back and forth, and even video chatting and stuff for, chatting on videos, I should say, about whether or not Bob Carruthers is Hall of Fame worthy. I believe he's had enough seasons to qualify, and between pitching and hitting, he had a pretty phenomenal career. So I'm going to toss this in the mix of super cool cards. If he ever gets in the Hall, I don't know if that does anything to his cards, because people that are collecting a Bob Carruthers are pretty aware of who he is and how good he was and all those things. Back is extremely clean. That's why it gets the MK designation. Whatever the heck. Yeah. Goofy. I just kind of like that. To me, it adds some texture to the cards. M1014. Talk about players that are interesting backstories. Or one of your Black Sox pitchers. I still think he would be Hall of Fame Without the scandal, I think for sure, because he probably plays another couple years and tacks on some wins and some WAR and some, counting stats that would make him a little more of a slam dunk. Blank back with damage. So that's where the poor grade comes in for sure. Front, I don't know if it's truly a poor, but with back damage, it's legit. Front, I mean, got some definite creasing, but look how cool that is. Like that image. To have a card from 1916 and to actually know exactly what Eddie Seacott looks like, to me, super cool. All right, final three. T206. This one might be in the wrong box. I gotta be honest. I don't, like I said, I don't price these out. They're kind of by price, but I have it pegged to where I think I bought it for, what I think it's worth. I've been looking for another T206 Cy Young. I have two of the three. I've been kind of hunting for the third just to get a gauge on what it should be going for. They're not overly scarce, but it's hard to find the right one for the right price. But looking at this, maybe this should be in a different box. Maybe the value of it is a little higher than I thought, but that's fine. I'm not overly worried about what it's worth today. I know where I bought it. I think I got a pretty good deal on it. It's definitely well creased, but when you go to here, I think it's interesting. My eyes are forgiving. I see through that. I see the really vibrant colors. Look at that. Is that like the sun in the background? Did they try and like draw a little, like, it looks like a 7-year-old drawing a sun. I'm going to pretend that's what that is. If it's not, that's what I think it is. But that Cy Young is really cool. And the back is pretty clean. So that's my T206 hand shows Cy Young. Next up, we're back to that E90 series. So Nap Lajoie was a E90-1, and Mordecai here, Three Finger Brown, is an E90-3. The color of this is so neat. When I looked at this the first time, I'm like, why is that thing a 1.5? Corners are a little off, and I mean, even the centering's good. It's like, oh, the back's got to be straight. No, the back's really clean. What the actual heck? This is the joy of doing these videos where I get really close. There's some paper loss at the very top. Look at that. So instead of being white, it's white. That's fine. I love that. It's a phenomenal looking card. I love when you find things like that where it's, yeah, I mean, the grade is very fair. That's exactly what it should be. But that presents quite nicely for how I collect. That is exactly what I want in my collection. And last one is a card that I've owned. This is my third copy of it. So back in the day, probably something, I had a PSA, and I had no idea what that meant at the time because grading was not in my world at all. But it was a PSA 5. It was extremely nice copy, very crisp. Everything about it was perfect. It was the start of me probably wondering why grading mattered. Had to move on from that when we bought our house. Ended up buying a 1 because I really wanted to have this card represented in my collection. And it was a 1 that was just a little too brutal for my taste. So I ended up trading it, and sitting there without that card in my collection just kind of felt a little incomplete. It's such a big card, such an iconic card. It's a readily available card. But I knew at some point I had to check it off the list, so I just kind of started watching and seeing if I could find one that was of my liking. And recently, not super recently, but within the last year or so, I found this one. So it's a recent slab, recent certification number. And when you look at this, like right there is what makes this card just so ridiculously awesome. The whole card itself, I mean, it's, I would say this is like high-end 1.
Every grade has a range and different things that make it fall into that classification, and sometimes it's just flat out wrong. But in this case, I think this is a high end of the 1, and with new grading, I think this evaluation is very conservative to harsh, and so I'm very happy to have a copy that I can live with. It's not destroyed, it's not super eaten up, there's nothing wrong with that. That is perfect for Aaron. So that is box 3. That is 20 cards from box 3. Hopefully it's a fun diversity of what's represented in there. And yeah, so this ends up being video 5, box 3. So I've got a couple more to go, but I appreciate y'all hanging with me and taking a look at some cards. I'll catch up with y'all on the next one. Take care.